Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am doing a Q&A today and oh my gosh, I actually got questions. I am so excited. I felt like such a dweeb putting out on Instagram, like, hey guys, and like ask me some questions. I'm gonna do a Q&A because like, Lord knows, does anybody actually care? Does anybody actually have questions? And like, it's weird to be like, guys, ask me questions like about myself. But I wanted to do this because I'm not like feeling great today, to be honest. I have a bit of a headache. I don't know if it's like sinus related or what, but I thought that this would be a fun thing to do, to like sit down and just have a good old chat with you guys. So let's get into these questions. I can't, thank you to everyone who asked me a question on Instagram. Like, you made my day. Okay, so the first question is Hugo's nicknames. This one's funny because I have probably too many nicknames for him. So the most used nicknames, if we're out and you hear me calling for him, I like seldom ever call him Hugo. I call him Toonie is one. Toonie, Rooney, and I call him Rune, Toon, Tuna. And I think, are those all the ones? Those are all like the most used nicknames for him. And those come from, where do those even come from? So when he was really little, I used to call him Chunky Monkey, because he's always been like a bigger, cute, he's just a little cute, chunky baby. And so I used to call him Chunky Monkey, and that like sort of morphed into Chunkamunk, Chunkaroo, Rooney Toon, Toonaroon, and then for short Toon, Tuna, Rooney, Rune. Like they all just flow out of me. So those are the most used nicknames. So if you see him and you call him Toon, he'll answer. Next question is, why are you vegan? No judgment at all. I'm just genuinely curious. That's an awesome question. So my biggest thing with being a vegan and going vegan, I went vegan, it was now maybe like 8 years ago. I was actually living on a cruise ship at the time, super random. I was working for Disney, living on a cruise ship, and I've always been really aware of my body as a dancer and a performer. I always had to be like really aware of my muscles, and I was in this phase, like I was working out a lot and just becoming like really aware of my own muscles. And on the ship, food on the ship isn't great. I'll just put it that way. It's not great for the crew. The guests is a different story, but for the crew, it's not amazing. So I had already started like substituting some foods on the ship. And then I thought one day, I was like, you know what, let me just cut out the meat, because the meat on board wasn't great anyway. And I noticed almost immediately a difference in my cellulite and in like the fat deposits in my legs. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like all of a sudden I don't have that. And I felt better. I felt like I had more energy. And so from that point forward, and after that, like that was my second contract, and I did another contract after that. Like I was just in it. And it wasn't, like it also wasn't an overnight decision too, which is what I tell a lot of people if they're interested in trying a plant-based diet or a vegan diet to see if it works with their lifestyle. I say like, don't cut it out immediately, because that'll just play with your head. And at least for me, like I have to be careful, or at least I had to be careful years ago about like depriving myself and like thinking that I couldn't have something, because then that would only make me want it more. So in essence, the reason we became vegan in the beginning, or I should say, I should talk for myself, was I just like noticed a difference in my body. I felt better. I felt healthier. I just felt better. And then like over time, like first it was me, and then we started cutting out dairy. And then at that point, my husband and I were dating. And so like we sort of did it together. And like every now and again, we would have a bagel. Every now and again, we would have a cupcake, or like some sort of dairy pastry. And anyway, like again, like we never were super strict with ourselves. And then we read Eating Animals, and then we watched some documentaries, and then like, and I'm an empath anyway. And so like when you start layering that stuff on top of it, you're like, okay, listen, we're just trying our best here, right? Like as humans, hopefully we're just trying our best. And so I think all of those things over time, and now it's just so easy too. Like there's so many like things at the grocery store that you can buy that are alternatives to dairy, alternatives to meat. So at least for us, that's sort of what got us to being vegan. Next question is, do you have any personal goals that you want to achieve in the next year? Personal goals. Yeah, I do. You know, I do. No, I don't know. I guess personal, I don't know. I wanna be pregnant again. So I don't know, like that's personal because my body is changing. That obviously has a lot to do with my husband too. It is like a family goal, I guess, more than personal. I want to, like, personally, oh my gosh, I just want to practice more patience. I want to stay connected to the higher power. I just want to, like, stay in my spiritual element more, because I find that when I drift away from that, when I drift away from God, I become this, like, I just become very pessimistic and, like, hard on myself. And so my, like, personal goal for the next year is to just try to stay more positive and, like, stay in the light more. I don't know, like, I also would really love to, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, I love this YouTube channel. I want to, like, keep doing this. I want to, like, keep meeting people. I want to, like, yeah, like, those are personally, I think, like, 2020 is going to be a little bananas, I have a feeling. But I hope that it's all in, like, the best ways possible. Did I answer the question? Who's to say? Next question is, how many kids do you want to have? Ooh, okay. Ooh, here's the thing. Hugo, my firstborn, my sweet Hugo, was not a difficult baby, but he didn't sleep for the first 8 months, and that was really hard. So it's not so much like, the pregnancy part is what I'm actually, like, looking forward to so much with baby number 2. Like, I can't wait to be pregnant again. Love. It was afterwards that was so hard. The newborn stage was so hard. And so, like, that's the part that, like, kind of, like, trips me up a little bit. If Hugo slept through the night or only woke up, like, 2 or 3 times, then I think I would say that I would want, like, and Jeff and I have talked. We said, like, if money wasn't a factor, and, like, you have to be able to take care of your kids. You have to be able to feed your kids. So, like, if money was no factor, I think we would say, like, 4. 3. I go back and forth between 2 and 3 because of how hard the newborn stage was. So I think it'll really depend on, like, we definitely want baby number 2. Like, that is imminent. I think it'll really depend on, like, what the experience is like with 2, because I've heard from many a person, from many a mama, that going from 1 to 2 is really hard. And I have had many moments now, even just with 1, where I'm like, this is so difficult and this is so hard, and, like, am I being the best mom I can possibly be? Like, where I need more patience. Like, someone please, like, hand me over. So I don't know. You know, part of me thinks, like, I would really love 3, but I don't know, can we handle 3? I don't know, we need 2. So we'll definitely be having 2. 3, 4 after that, we'll see. Question is, how do you and your husband stay connected on a daily basis? And this is a tricky one because my husband works full-time. He works in Manhattan, and so, like, with commuting and stuff, it's really hard. We text a lot during the day, which is nice. And then we try, I mean, as hard as possible, we try to, like, have dinner together at night and, like, watch a show together. But I also think that that's something we can actually work on, to be completely frank and honest. I think it's something we can work on more, and maybe that should be, like, a 2020, like, personal goal too, is just trying to stay better connected during the work week, because it's so hard. And during the weekends it's easier because, like, he's home and we're together and we can do things together. But I think texting really helps, and, like, and finding those times, and like, date days. My mom is, like, the best. She'll take Hugo, and, like, when my in-laws are in town, they'll take Hugo, and Jeff and I will get alone time together, and, like, all of that is amazing. But, like, isn't that everyone's struggle? Like, please tell me I'm not alone. Like, couples with working schedule and kids, like, it's all so difficult. So, I mean, texting. It's, like, the worst answer ever. Next question is, are you nervous about having another vaginal delivery considering your previous tear? Girl, I'm not having another vaginal delivery. Hell no. No, I'm not having another vaginal delivery. Yeah, no. So, no, my doctor and I have already talked multiple times. I'm gonna be having a C-section with baby number 2. So I talked about that pretty much, like, after the second Hugo, after he came out. I was like, not doing this again. This is not happening again. So my doctor said that because of how horrible my tearing was and how traumatic it was, that I am definitely a candidate for C-section. And so she wrote that down in my file. Last time I saw her, she said, is that still something that you want? So still something you want to do? I said, yep. Girl, you're gonna be cutting me right open, taking that baby out. Here's the thing, could it be any worse than what I experienced? Yes, it definitely could, but I will not be having another baby vaginally again. So. Next question is, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? Okay, anywhere in the world. Oh my gosh, that's such a crazy question. It's hard because I think I really love where we live. I think I really love where we live. So, I don't know. Like, I mean, okay, let's play fantasy for a second. If I could live, okay, I would love to live in like an estate, in like an English country estate, in like freaking like Downton Abbey, like a castle, and I could wear like gowns, and like that would be like in another life, I think that's what like I was meant for, like Princess Kate Middleton life. But like if I'm still me and like this is still my life, I would say I love where we live. So I would love to be able to afford like a little estate or like a house on some land in, I don't know, like in Rye or Purchase. These places are like 30 minutes outside Manhattan. Maybe we could also have a place in the city so that if we're like in the city for work or something, we could stay in there, and then maybe have like an apartment or something in LA, because I love LA too. So like LA is probably up there too. Like if I couldn't choose where we live now, because you know, there's nothing that I don't love about New York, then I would say LA. Love California. Next question, what was your biggest life lesson? This is a really hard one. Biggest life lesson. I would say to always speak your mind, even when it feels scary and even when it feels like terrifying, to still say what's on your mind, to like speak your mind and to stand your ground, because you always feel lighter afterwards. So to always sort of like follow that inner, like we all have that inner Jiminy Cricket, that inner voice. And I think like as we get older and as we like connect with that more, it starts to become like this like tangible feeling. Like I can feel in my body when something isn't right, or like I can feel, like, can't you feel in your body like when someone comes near you and the person like has a bad energy or just is like super negative or something, and you're like, oh, like this doesn't feel good. And so I would say like that's my biggest life lesson, is to honor those feelings. Like it's like what you're feeling is true, and like it's okay to say what's on your mind and to speak your truth, as long, like obviously as long as it's not hurting or degrading anybody else. But speaking your truth and getting those like anxieties and fears out of you like feels so good. It feels so much better than holding it in. So that's what I would say like my biggest life lesson is, I guess. I was like, oh, is that good? Does that make sense? I don't know. Question is, will you ever start doing Disney content again? Love the channel then, but still do now. Thank you so much. I know that was such a devastating period. Like that was such a devastating moment in my YouTube career was when I had to stop doing the Disney videos. And I had to private them all. Oh my gosh, I still once a week will think about it. Here's the thing. I mean, yes, like we did Disney content when we went on the Disney cruise, we filmed it. And like if we go on more Disney vacations, which is inevitable because we're a Disney family, like of course I will film it and bring you guys along. Will I ever do like working for Disney content again? I don't know. Maybe, like never say never, and maybe in like a vague way, sure. The reason I stopped doing Disney content, if you weren't here for that fun business, it became a bit of a conflict of interest work-wise. My husband was still like sort of working for the Disney company-ish, and it just became a little bit like too conflict of interest-y, if that makes any sense. So here's the thing, my husband doesn't work for Disney anymore, and so like technically, yeah, I could private them all, but there's just, I'm just like, do I want to? Do I want to? I had an amazing experience working for Disney. Sorry, this video's already 15 minutes long. Let me like try to talk faster. I had an amazing experience working for Disney. It was life-changing. I met my husband. It was like all my dreams came true. Like there's no way. Like there's nothing in my life. When I think back on my life and I think of like the most like huge moments, you know, obviously one is my baby, having Hugo, becoming a mom. And then the other one is working for Disney. That was a lifelong dream. And I had the best time. And it was the best experience. And like, let's just leave it at that. Like, let's just let it be what it was. An amazing, beautiful experience. And I'm still, not that I'm still like intertwined in that whole world, but like, sort of. And I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and I don't want like anything to be misconstrued, or I don't want anyone to think that like I'm saying anything negative or like spilling secrets or tea about the Disney company. Like, no. So we'll keep it on the DL for now, and but thank you so much. You're like, that's so sweet. And I know so many of you were subscribed because of the Disney content. And like, you love the advice for auditions and all that stuff, and that, like, honestly, that meant so much to me. And I like had never had so much engagement than I did during that period, which is why I was so devastated that I had to stop doing it, because I was so sad that like I was connecting with so many people, and like all of a sudden now nothing, you know? So thank you, and thank you for like still watching my stuff. That's so sweet. And the last question is, what are some of your healthy go-to meals? Oh my gosh, what are some of my go-to healthy meals? I would say, like, I love sweet potatoes. So if you can incorporate sweet potatoes, like, I'm also thinking like for my kid too, like toddlers are so hard to like feed. They're so hard to feed, they don't eat anything. Sweet potatoes are great. I love sweet potatoes with broccoli or asparagus, and then let's say like Jeff and I usually make some sort of like plant-based protein meat imitation, which sounds gross, but like, you know, like the little chicken scallopinis. We love the brand Gardein. Gardein is a great brand. They make some really great plant-based meats. There's no way to talk about it with it not sounding gross. But like plant-based meats, they make like little chicken patties, little chicken fingers. So yeah, I think like all that stuff in moderation is healthy. I don't know, maybe I'm not the best person to ask. But like Mexican food is actually, like, if you make it and prepare it yourself, it can actually be really healthy. So I love anything that incorporates avocado and beans with a little bit of rice. Like, that is to die for. It's so delicious. I also love like Indian foods. I have to be careful with some of the sauces because some of them can be like high in fat, but like, I don't know. I think I tend to eat I like to believe it's a pretty balanced diet. So for me, I like to have one or two like vegetables on my plate, broccoli or asparagus, or yeah, that incorporate like a carb like sweet potato, and then have some sort of protein, whether it be beans or, you know, like an imitation something. That's usually what our dinners look like, and I think that that's kind of healthy. Okay guys, and those are all the questions. Thank you so much again to everyone who sent in a question. I mean, so much to me. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.